Hey, Tina and Josh, it's Richard. I told you I'd make you a quick video on just a couple of things to kind of think about moving forward, whether you work with me or you don't work with me, either way. So, the goal of having a website is really twofold. Either one, we just want to have an online business card where, hey, it could be on our normal business cards, it could be on the side of our truck. If somebody asks for it, then it's there, right? Just like if somebody asks you for a business card, you have it in your wallet or your purse or something, you just have it, right? Doesn't mean it's going to generate phone calls. Those are two different projects. So when we think about a website, I want you to think about it in two aspects. The first aspect is we need, and I want you to think about this from your perspective when you look at a website or maybe two websites, like who are you going to call? You're going to call you, you're going to call somebody else. So we need to appeal to the consumer because that's what is going to convert, right? The person that looks at our website says, yep, these guys look good. I'm going to go ahead and give them a call. But we also have to think about it in a second aspect, which is how is that or your website getting shown to that consumer? And that's all determined by Google and Google's algorithm. So it's not a person at Google that's like looking at your website and says, okay, I could show you, or I'm going to show this other guy instead. It's an algorithm like a math equation, right? So we have to appeal to both of those at the exact same time. So we need a website that when we go on the website, we as a consumer feel good about like, hey, this looks really professional. It's got some calls to action. It has, this is exactly what I want. So I want interior, or exterior, or commercial painting, or pressure washing, or whatever you do. They do that. Hey, here are some reviews that they do a good job. And here's some pictures that I can look at so I can make a decision to call you or not. So, as far as the audit of your website, I'm not going to tell you you did a bad job because I see really horrible websites every single day from people that build their own websites. And one thing I tell everybody is like, listen, like I build websites and you do painting, right? So a lot of times I try to just say, hey, yeah, how about you come to my house and paint my house and I'll build you a website, something like that, because that's what you're good at and this is what I'm good at. So when you look at your website, so one thing that I notice is that you are on Squarespace. So Squarespace is a really good platform as a website builder. And there's lots of website builders. There's Duda, there's Wix, there's Squarespace. I mean, hundreds of these things that you can go in and build a website on. This one it ranks fairly decently as far as indexing, but it's not really designed for home services. And I'll show you a couple of reasons why. So when you go down here and there's basically these three services, you have interior, you click on it. And it goes to all of these things. So these are like browse by category, basically like products, and there's nothing here for them to do. So if they click on it, a lot of consumers are going to be like, oh, well, maybe they don't do interior painting or exterior painting or pressure washing or things like that because there's no information. And I know you probably just built this, so maybe you haven't built it all out, but Squarespace is probably not the platform. If I were to just coach you and say, hey, if you want to build your own website, that's totally fine. Go ahead and do that. Just do it on this platform because it's easy for you to use. It doesn't take a lot of tech skills, and it's going to work really well for building this stuff out. So this is, I would say, one issue. The other big issue that if you were just going to build a one-page site and you're hoping to get it ranked, if you look through this site or your site right here, you're very picture heavy, which I know a lot of people, because we're kind of in a social realm now, everybody's focusing on Facebook and Instagram, things like that. Everybody's like, oh, I need to put 100 pictures of all the things I do. In all honesty, if you ever want this site to rank, it needs to be the exact opposite. So it's very picture heavy, not very much content heavy. And when I talk about content and anything that we talk about from before or now or moving forward, it's always going to be words because to appeal to the Google algorithm, you have to have words for them to say, okay, this is what they do. This is why I'm going to show them to this specific consumer. So I want you to think about a couple things really quickly. So if you went to this website taking this from a consumer standpoint, and then went to, let's say, ESP Painting, which if you Google exterior painting Vancouver, we've got ESP, which is basically paying to be there. We got Pro Painting, Top Notch, and Final Touch. So if you looked at your website and then looked at these guys' websites, like this one, they've got all the like everything laid out very, very cleanly, which is part of the reason they're ranking. They have their reviews pulled in. They've got a couple of these things which really honestly don't matter. But you can kind of see the layout and the professionalism from these websites. You can look at this guy, Propane Northwest. This guy, I was actually surprised that he is ranking because his website's really not actually that great. From a SEO standpoint, it is fairly pretty, but I mean, it's very content light. I mean, you can see we got one, two, three paragraphs on the first page, and that's all. But he does have multiple pages. That's the other thing on yours. You don't have multiple pages. Um, Top notch. Again, super clean as far as the look of it. I would say it's like fairly image based still. But one of the things that they do have going in front of them is the fact that they have multiple links going to multiple pages. And you can see they've got all these types of pages right here, handyman repair areas that we service. So their website is actually fairly built out. It's not, I wouldn't say it's built out to the max, but I mean, they're probably 80% there because they have a very large site. One of the things, if you asked me about online visibility, if we want to rank, you're never going to rank on the first page where somebody's going to call you with a 1 page, 2 page, even 3 page website. Like this is more of the style that you need to look at if whether you hire us to do it, hire somebody else to do it, or you do it yourself, just having that scope of like, okay, this is actually what I need to get the job done. We can take a look at one more, Final Touch. Pretty simple website, but fairly heavy on the content. So you can see multiple paragraphs here and here. And then that's about it. I would never do this right here as far as putting a contact form on the page. You can have it as a pop-up or maybe go into a contact page, but they did what they did, and they're obviously ranking. So let's talk about. So that's kind of the website feel. So if you're going to either do it yourself or hire anybody to do it, one of the things you need to look at is just scope of the website. Like, hey, if we're really going to do this to get calls from it, then it needs to be like this size, this big, with this much content. We usually shoot for about 20 pages on a website if we're really going to do this like long term. Like, hey, we want to anchor ourselves where when we Google exterior painting, near me or exterior painting Vancouver or something, we come up in this 3 pack. One of the biggest things that we look at is, hey, 20 pages, 30,000 words worth of content, which I know sounds like a lot, but we have content writers and we have AI to kind of help us do that. But those are the two things that we look at on top of a bunch of other stuff. So, as far as Google visibility, so whenever we think about Google visibility, your number one asset across the entire internet, and I've been doing this for 15 years, has always been your website. So that's kind of like the anchor. Everything else is kind of additional. So when we look at these Google listings, the ones that are coming up in the top three. And I'm going to tell you, 70% of all of the phone calls on Google go to this section right here, these top three people. So if you're not there, you're kind of competing for the scraps. Okay. So if we were going to do it, I would say we need to build out, like I said, about 20-page website, 30,000 words to start, and then we keep adding to it. But the other thing too is if you compare your Google listing to their Google listings are a lot bigger. And a Google listing is just kind of like a mini web page where it's like, hey, you can see here, they've got their name. Let's shrink this real quick. They've got their name, their phone number, maybe their business address, how long they've been around. They have reviews, has a link to their website. It is advisable to show your address nowadays because Google ranks you higher, but it's not necessary. Just like you can see right here, Top Notch, they don't have directions, so they don't have an address listed. So but you can see also the number of reviews. So reviews right now are one of the biggest driving factors. You guys are actually doing really well since I talked to you guys last. I think you guys were at 6 and now you're at 13. So a good pace. Obviously, if we need to pick up the pace a little bit, but one of the things I want to talk to you about is we don't have to outdo everybody in every single factor in order to actually land on page one. So if you compare this really quickly, you can see that this guy right here, Top Notch, has 44 reviews, and he's outranking a guy that has 103 reviews. This guy has 200 or 146. This guy's paying to be here. You can see because it says sponsored. So this honestly doesn't even count because he's just paying Google to like basically, hey, well, I want to be number one, so I'm just going to pay to be there. But when we're ranking, we need to kind of outpace people in different areas. So a couple of things that I would talk to you about as far as your Google listing right here. One, it needs to be more robust. So get in there, take 5 minutes and fill every single thing out. And that's some of the stuff that we do when you talk about Google listings or Google visibility is one of the first things we do outside of your website is go into your Google listing and just fill the whole entire thing out. Takes usually about an hour or two if you do it correctly, optimizing your category, optimizing all of your services that you guys do, optimize the areas that you service, adding in hours, maybe you're woman owned or Latino owned or LGBTQ. I know they have all those options on there. So you basically just fill it all out and then loading it up with a ton of photos. So you can see here, I think when I counted, you guys were like 18 or 20 photos. If you go back here and look at these guys, let's go here. Where did it go? On his photos, you can see that they've got tons and tons of photos here. So obviously some of them aren't actually recent, which is interesting. But either way, you want to have a whole bunch of photos, and then like this one, 149 photos. So you want to take a look at that and be like, okay, hey, we need to upload photos. You don't want to bombard Google all at the same time, but we want to start dripping photos in. So as you guys are doing these jobs, we can just drip these photos in, geotag them, making sure that Google knows, hey, they service Beaverton or they service just Vancouver or Woodland or Salem or Gresham or wherever you guys are doing it. We need to upload those photos. So those are a couple of things that I would talk about. So one, we really need to improve your website. Honestly, I would just rebuild it. Second, we need to fill out your Google profile. Third, we need to add photos to your Google profile. And then third, we need to start, or not your reviews, photos, and then we need to start getting reviews. So I know there's kind of a lot. I try to keep this as short as possible. Those are the like top 3, 4 things that I would say, hey, if we wanted to really make the needle move, start making you guys money, getting calls coming in, those are the things that we need to start with because they're really the fundamentals. And if you listen to like Vince Lombardi or really any other coach, we got to start with the basics. And these are kind of the basics. We can talk about a whole bunch of other stuff, ads and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all that other stuff. But really, it's mostly noise because in the home service business, most people just whip out their phone and Google exactly what they're looking for. They call 1, 2, 3 people because a lot of contractors are horrible at answering their phone, so they got to call multiple people in order to get somebody. But usually, the first person to answer is usually the first person to get the job. So, if you have any questions, we can hop on a call and kind of discuss things further. But that's kind of the direction that I would go if I was your coach. Talk to you soon.